Hello, how are you? I hope you're well. I have missed you all very dearly, and today I am here to share the books that I am going to be reading for the month of July. So July is a very exciting reading month because I will be participating in 3 readathons and 1 book club. So basically I've gone from 0 to 100 on the reading front because I've gone from reading like 1 book a month to trying to read quite a few books and also to participate in many readathons and book clubs and things as well. So we'll see how we go. But without further ado, let's talk about the books that I'm going to read. So the first book that I'm reading for July, and I have already started because it's the 1st of July here in Australia, is The Other Bennet Sister. This book is a book that I am reading for Jane Austen July, which is a readathon hosted by Books and Things and also by Blatantly Bookish. So they've been hosting Jane Austen July for a few years now, and I've always been a huge fan of it, but I've never actually managed to get around to participating in it, which is really terrible of me. So I'm super excited to be at least trying to join in this year, although I'm doing it very half-heartedly because this is literally the only book I'm reading for their readathon, and I'm very sorry for that. But I just know that if I want to participate in all the readathons that I do want to participate in this month, I can't do all of these reading challenges for every readathon, so I'm trying to kind of participate more in spirit rather than like in full-on reading, and this is the one book that I'm reading for that readathon. So The Other Bennet Sister is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, and instead of focusing on Lizzie Bennet, it focuses on one of her sisters, Mary Bennet. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Pride and Prejudice, Mary Bennet is the plain, intelligent, introverted, nerdy kind of sister, and she's the one that has the least kind of screen time, for lack of a better word, in the original book. And this book kind of explores the idea of what it must be like to be more intellectually inclined, more bookish, more quiet and introverted, and not really considered to be the belle of the ball in Jane Austen times. According to Goodreads, I'm 1/6 of the way in now, and I've already nearly cried once because there have been some moments that have really just broken my heart on Mary's behalf. So I'm really excited to be reading this and basically to be experiencing Pride and Prejudice but in a more well-rounded way. Hey buddy, you want to come in? All right. You coming in? Yeah, come on. Yeah. You can't just meow at me, you have to come in. What's up? Look at this boy. He's long and he's sad. So the next 2 books on my TBR are books that I'm reading because of the Shakespeare themed readathon called All the World's a Page. Unfortunately, I can't remember the names of all 3 hosts, so I'm just gonna flash them up here. But this readathon is Shakespeare themed, in case you couldn't tell. And my favorite thing about this readathon is that they had 4 different levels depending on how experienced you are or how confident you are with reading Shakespeare's plays. So they had like beginner, intermediate, master, and then like superstar level of readathon challenges. And I'm not following any of them, in spite of the fact that I love them so dearly, because again, I just wanted to be able to participate in as many things as possible. So instead of whole-assing one thing, I am very much half-assing multiple things. So I'm kind of doing a cross between the beginner and the intermediate level. So I'm reading 2 Shakespeare's plays, one of which is As You Like It, which is gonna turn up in a sec again because it's part of my readathon for the reading rush. And the other one is A Midsummer Night's Dream. I'm especially excited about this one because this is also my book club read for the Keep It Classic book club. So we have resurrected the Keep It Classic book club for what feels like the 5th time. Super sorry to everyone. You've all been so supportive, and I know that a lot of people are very keen on the book club, and your messages fill my heart with joy knowing that you guys are keen to actually read classics with me and with the book club. So I'm super sorry that we've let you down so many times by saying that we're going to start it up and then failing. Hopefully this time sticks. We've talked about this on Twitter and on Instagram already, and we said that we were starting up the book club again, and you guys voted on the books that you wanted to read, and the winner was A Midsummer Night's Dream, so that's what we are reading. So if you're interested in participating in All the World's a Page or in the book club, I strongly recommend that you give A Midsummer Night's Dream a go, because we're going to be reading it all together as a group. We're going to be talking about it, giving each other moral support. So if you're a little bit uncertain about Shakespeare and about how to read it, if you're not feeling very confident with the language, this is a good time to give it a try, because you'll have a lot of support and a lot of kindred spirits also trying to read Shakespeare with you. These 3 books cover my participation in Jane Austen July and All the World's a Page, and also the Keep It Classic book club. So the only thing remaining for me to talk about is the reading rush, which I'm sure needs absolutely no introduction from me. Everyone is pretty familiar with Booktubeathon. The only thing that people may be less familiar with is the fact that it has rebranded to the Reading Rush with its own website and YouTube channel and all kinds of cool stuff happening. But it's happening in the last week of July, so let's just talk about the books that I'm going to read for it, shall we? So as usual, the Reading Rush has 7 reading challenges. For this particular year, the first readathon challenge was to read a book with the color of your birthstone on the cover. So you're supposed to find or know your birthstone and read a book that has the color of that birthstone on the cover somewhere. So I'm born in November and my birthstone is either citrine or topaz depending on your mood, and technically those stones kind of vary from like red to orange to green to sort of aqua colors, so I've kind of gone very loosely on this, and I'm going to be reading Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales, which I am already halfway through reading. So I'm just kind of using this as an excuse to keep reading that book, but it kind of has like this reddy orange color up here on the bird in the corner. You can't see it very well, but that is my topaz orange that I'm using. So the second challenge for the reading rush is to read a book with the word "the" in the title. And for this particular challenge, I am planning on kind of cheating and continuing to read The Other Bennet Sister, because there's a fairly high chance that I will still be reading it by the end of July. It is quite a large book, but I've started reading it and I've been enjoying it so much that I'm actually starting to wonder if I will have finished it by the time the reading rush comes around. So I do have like a caveat book for that, and if I do happen to finish The Other Bennet Sister, then I'm planning on starting to read The Priory of the Orange Tree, which again is a massive book. If by some miracle I get through this, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get through both of them by the end of July. So one of these two is going to be my book for that challenge. So challenge number 3 for the reading rush is to read a book that inspired a movie that you have already seen. I'm going to be reading Good Omens, which is a TV show which I watched last year several times and absolutely adored, and so I bought this copy of the book after I watched the TV show and loved it as much as I did, and I still haven't got around to reading it, so I'm really excited to be diving into that. And yeah, super excited. The 4th challenge of the reading rush is to read the first book that you touch. There's kind of an awkward story about my particular choice for this challenge, because I did actually try filming a TBR for this before, and it was supposed to be a reaction video where I watched the challenge announcement video for the first time and chose each of the books on my TBR as I heard each challenge, and unfortunately the footage for that is pretty balked, but I might try and insert in at least the footage for this particular challenge now, so that you can see that I did actually pick the first book that I touched after I was watching it. Read the first book that I touch. I don't know how to do this is the problem. Like, there's a lot of books right behind me. I could literally just touch one, but I am afraid. What if? I have an idea. I'll tie this in with the Shakespeare readathon for All the World's a Page, because I'm already reading one Shakespeare play for the Shakespeare readathon, and I could probably try and read another one if I wanted to. Which I guess I do. Wow, the enthusiasm. And if that was the case, then I could touch any one of these Shakespeare plays and add that to my readathon pile for this and also for the Shakespeare readathon at the same time. I think I like that idea actually, so I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna do it without looking, I guess. And I'm just gonna kind of hope that I'm in the right area, and I'm just gonna pick a finger. Is that a book? Yes, As You Like It. Alrighty. I literally couldn't tell if I had touched the book or if I accidentally touched the bookshelf, but apparently I did touch a book, so apparently I might also read As You Like It for this readathon. The next challenge for the reading rush is to read a book completely outside your house, for which I am probably just going to be reusing one of the books that I already have on this list here, because we're already being way too ambitious with our TBR, and I'm quite likely going to end up maybe reading As You Like It, and my plan is basically either to kind of sit outside in my backyard, or maybe if I can, depending on restrictions and safety, go to our local cafe, which is open at the moment and available for sitting in, and I might go and kind of sit there and read this and make some notes and delve into Shakespeare with a cup of tea at a local cafe or something. But obviously this is very dependent on the current restrictions and safety guidelines and things like that, and it's very hard for me to predict what the situation is going to be like in a few weeks' time, so I'm just going to play that by ear. But this is the book that I've set aside to try and read outside my house. Challenge number 6 for the reading rush was to read a book in a genre that you have never really tried before, and I am tripling up now on the same book, and that again is As You Like It, so I better read it, otherwise I'll have only completed like 2 challenges for the readathon. But Shakespeare is something that I have literally studied at university but never really read, and it's not really something that I'm very confident with. And given that I especially absolutely know nothing about As You Like It, like I don't even have the slightest hint of background knowledge about what this play is about or what its concept is to kind of help me get through the language, this really is going to be very out of my comfort zone, but I'm very excited about it nonetheless. And the final challenge for the reading rush is to read a book that is set in a continent other than your own. And for that challenge, I could literally read any one of these books, because none of these books are set in Australia, because pretty much none of the books that I ever read are set in Australia. Anyway, it's nice to have a challenge that is actually kind of easy for me, although it did kind of give me pause to think about how few books I read that are set in Australia and how I should be trying to probably read some more Australian authors and some more Australian fiction. But that will be a project for a later date, because that's not what this readathon is about. This readathon is about reading books that aren't Australian fiction, apparently. So that is it. That is my very long, very ambitious TBR for the month of July, which includes 3 readathons and 1 book club. And if somehow, by some miracle, I don't manage to get through all of these books, I even have another book to add to it as well. Isn't that beautiful? Look how much I'm gonna read in July. Vote below how confident you are that I'll actually get through my TBR on a scale of 1 to 10, because I know what my vote is. If you're participating in any of these readathons, or if you're interested in participating in the Keep It Classic book club, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to know what you're reading. I'd love to know if you're reading along with us for the book club. Super nice to have other people to try and read Shakespeare with. I will see you for another video very shortly, hopefully, / I am sure. And until then, as always, stay classic.